I love it when agents say, Arrivva is a discount broker. You don't want to use a discount broker. And I say to them, no, we're charging a reasonable flat fee. You are the overchargers.
We are on We Fixed Real Estate with Fred Glick, and we are talking about commissions, discounts, in a recent article from Selling Later that we are responding to. Fred, talk to me about this. This is pretty interesting.
First of all, if you're a buyer or seller and you haven't gone to sellinglater.com, go there. It is 100% consumer information. It is not any real estate agents, not any real estate company sponsored it. It is a nonprofit, and they are fantastic, and they're diligent about helping consumers. And going all the way from the FTC, the CFPB, woman who runs it, Wendy's, fabulous, and she's just calling out the bad guys and the things you shouldn't do. So she wrote an article. There's this group that she's involved with, and I can't remember what it is, but they came up with some ideas about commissions. And one of the fun things was that how could you possibly have a discounted commission when there is no guideline for what commissions are supposed to be, because they're all negotiable?
Mm-hmm.
I love it when agents say, Arrivva is a discount broker. You don't want to use a discount broker. And I say to them, no, we're charging a reasonable flat fee. You are the overchargers.
Mm-hmm.
The big difference. And I love it, when they say, you get what you pay for. Well, not in this case, not where it comes to real estate representation, where you're telling me a brand new agent is supposed to get 2.5% of a sale price. Well, they don't even know what they're doing, but you're going to pay that same 2.5% to an agent that's been doing it 30 years. I mean, it's just no rhyme or reason. It absolutely makes no sense to call anybody a discounter. Now, there are companies that do limited service. They only do certain things and they charge a lower fee for doing it. I don't call that discount. That's what they're charging for that specific service. You get a lawyer who just does the contract and nothing else. Pay them a fee. So I'm always answering this question. What's the difference between you and other real estate agents? I said, first of all, let's start out with the fact that we're in Slack. You ask 98% of the real estate brokers, they won't even know what Slack is, and they don't understand communication software. They don't evolve into these things. They worry about going to seminars to figure how they can talk to you to be able to manipulate you to go higher on a contract, as opposed to how to communicate with you and take care of you and worry about you and work for you. So that's I'm rambling.
Yeah, well, it's like such as those common sales tactics where if you ask someone, can you discount it? And they've been trained to say, well, discounting commissions is not something I can do. Can I tell you why? Because I don't deliver discount results. And I'm sure you don't want to discount your house, right?
The other one is the fact that you're asking me for a discount and I'm not giving you a discount shows you what a great negotiator I am.
Mm-hmm. And here's the crux. I mean, there's a fiduciary responsibility to loyalty, care, full disclosure, and putting interests first. It's not a perk you unlock by paying more. It's the law.
Exactly.
Doing the right thing is what you're supposed to be doing.
It's like a diamond. If you go into Tiffany, oh my God, you get the whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful countertops and the dressed up people and the Fifth Avenue location. And you like paying more there because you feel this luxury or something. So you pay $10,000 for a ring. And you go to Louis' swap shop, who just got the same ring in, you're going to get it for 30% of the price. It's the same ring in the end. But there's also somebody who is, let's say, a broker of diamonds who goes out and looks for you and finds it. And there's different suppliers and they find it for you and you pay half the price that you would at Tiffany's. So, don't be swayed by, I love that. Oh, we have 22 million agents around the world. What's that got to do with anything? Properties, when you listen, they go up on the MLS, they go up on Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com and all these other websites, and that's how people find it. It's like, yeah, Here's another thing I don't understand. Why do you have open house signs out on a highway directing people to your open house that you don't even know who they are, what they are? It's insane. I'd rather have an open house of 3 or 4 different sets of people who are serious about the property rather than 50 that just show up. Oh, we saw a sign. We thought we'd look at real estate. And the first question out of the agents, do you have a buyer broker? They don't even know if they're qualified. I mean, that's what an open house is for them to find buyers. And they're not paying you anything for that. They should be paying you because it's like putting an ad on Google.
I thought that the open houses were for the curious neighbors that want to see what the inside of that house looks
Oh,
like.
that too. And, there's a theory that, the first day you have a special open house just for the neighbors, the nosy neighbor open house. Yeah, it's cute. Whatever, get them over with. But, if they really want to, I don't do that. Just come. And then after it's closed, we could say, look, we listed it for 12 days. We got 103% of asking price. Nothing, we didn't lower it to, and get 400% over because we made up a number. And then you send it out to the neighbors, Joe and Mary are going to miss you. They've moved on, but we have new neighbors coming in, and here's how we're able to do it. And and what they never put on anything is what it costs the sellers to sell the property. And we show a beautiful property. We show it sold quick. And by the way, you didn't have to pay 2.5% to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. We got to work on those postcards too, by the way.
Yeah, those are good.
Sold. Or
Just sold.
just sold and saved.
Just sold, seller saved X amount.
Exactly.
And that's the key. You got to ask these questions. And I think a lot of people are afraid when they're interviewing agents to ask some of these questions. And then they get that initial pushback going back to the agent says you get what you pay for. That's really just code for don't ask too many questions.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
we're charge a lot of money, so you're getting the best service. Dude, seriously.
What are some questions that you're interviewing? And most people, there's the comparison that most people spend more time researching a shampoo bottle than they do researching their real estate agent.
Okay, so on the seller side, hi, I'm Susie, and we're going to do this beautiful presentation. We're going to stage your house, and we're going to put it on the MLS. We're going to take pictures. Okay, well, talk to me about your negotiating skills. How are you going to get me a higher price?
Mm-hmm.
How do you work with other agents? Do you have an automated system for disclosures and inspections? Do you know how to fill out the contract properly? Who's writing the contract? You? Do you know how to read the contract? Do you know what the pre-approval really is? Can you tell if it's a fully underwritten pre-approval? Do you know if they're just giving you a DU, what that is? Did you check the proof of funds to make sure they actually add up to what the down payment is? Do you have an automated system for all the offers so it makes it easier so everybody uploads them to one place?
Mm-hmm.
Are you using for your inspections just the guy that you use for every inspection because he's your buddy? Or are you independently rolling and negotiating and getting other people to do it and trying to improve on the job? And who pays for what is another question.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, what are my total expenses besides the commission? Do you charge any other fees? As soon as they say we have an admin fee, tell them no to the admin fee. They're going to ask you for 2.5% commission and then say, hey, well, we got to pay this staff and
Paper processing
commission. Yeah, it's not extra. Why should it be an extra fee to me? So yeah, it's a paper processing fee. All right. So there's a few ideas of some things you can ask them. Are you using the open house to find buyers? So they're not expecting you to say that and they're going to hum and hum and hum. Well, it happens that sometimes, we form relationships with people and blah, blah, blah. Are you a talker? I love that one. Oh, I'm a real people person. I love to talk. Well, that's probably bad for you as a seller.
Mm.
You want to just sit there and listen and suck up everything about the clients and ask the clients leading questions like, do you work around here? Or what brings you to this neighborhood?
Mhm.
Uh, as a buyer, you don't want to answer these questions because, like, I'll give you an example. We had two doctors that came into an open house that, oh, we love this place and it's great. It's only 2 blocks away from the hospital where we both work and we work crazy shifts. Guess what? They paid more because
Oh, because they knew.
the listing agent found that out.
Mm.
That's the buyer. And so, there's ways of getting information out. How quick are you responding to on your phone, your texts, your emails? Do you wait till at night to return all your emails, which we find interesting with some agents? I don't know what they do all day, but no paperwork gets done till the night. What kind of phone do you have? Really?
It's true.
You got a 7-year-old Android, and oh, I don't like the phone.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Little things like that.
Especially if you're on a group chat and everyone else has iPhones and you're the one guy with an Android.
A green man. Yeah.
Where you can't communicate on the messaging app on the computer. There's always one person that has an Android that makes it impossible to do a group chat.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well.
But we're getting the details there. Well, on the buyer side, so buyer comes to you. I mean, it seems like a lot of buyers are referrals, but what's some of those questions if you're looking to buy a home in an agent that you would want to?
All right, let's start with the fees again. Obviously, you want to know, other than your how much your commission. Other than that, are there any other fees? Why do you charge me that amount?
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is you go to a big company and they say, our minimum commission is 2.5%. You can't take any less. Maybe you go to the manager and you beg for 2% for somebody on a big deal, and you say, why? And listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Let them hear it. What's your availability like? Just leave that open ended.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have, it's yeah, that'll flush out any part-timers.
Mm-hmm.
So, or I work with a team, or tell me about your experience with what I need for mortgage approval.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them will go, oh, just go to my guy. Not, no, I tell this to every buyer, especially, in the markets that doesn't really matter what kind of market. Get yourself a fully underwritten mortgage for your approval.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go crazy saying this 5,000 times because you get it over with and you make sure there's no problems.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're on a non-competitive property, you can go in and waive the mortgage. You can get a better price because look, I'm done. You don't have to worry about it. So we're not taking the house off the market for 15 days to get a mortgage approval. So now we want a better price because of that. So these are important things. Explain to them about the inspections. What are the important things to look at when you get an inspection package? I volunteer my favorite prompt for AI with the disclosure package, which you'll have to talk to me to get that. I'm not giving that one away. Yeah, it's just general knowledge.
You mentioned one a couple episodes back that it's sometimes savvy to ask to look at a previous contract they've written up to make sure they actually write up a contract.
Yes. Ask me for that contract. Take the names off.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see a contract you've written. And then see if there's mistakes, see if things that don't make sense, throw it in the AI. Because I've actually had agents who are like 25 years experience writing these contracts that make no sense. They miss half the stuff. Terrible. These are people writing contracts for you.
It may not be legally binding, but you can definitely upload the document to ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever and tell them you're an expert in analyzing real estate contracts. Tell me
in California,
how this could have in California, be as specific as possible and just point out anything that may be lacking and point out the good stuff too. And it's a good way to get yourself a little bit of knowledge about who you're about to be working with.
Exactly. And do you see they miss things or, just put the wrong things in there? Run.
Yeah. Well, changing the topic a little bit. 2 weeks ago, if you haven't listened to it, you need to go listen to it. We had someone on the show, Jubilee Homes, doing about land leases. And so we were just talking about leases in general in the pre-show. We thought it'd be a good idea to kind of do a little bit of a rundown on the lease to own, which isn't a land lease. It's really just like a rent to own, lease to own. Let's talk
Yeah,
about that.
let's call it rent to loan because a leasehold property that we talked about is definitely when it comes to a sale and it's breaking down the land and the real estate. Rent to own, everybody loves. Hi, I want to find me a rent to own. First of all, there's like no website that just has rent to owns. Okay. So you could go through every leased property in your area or in Zillow or wherever. You
How,
literally have to make
how
a
many?
phone call on every single one of them. Would you consider rent to own? So let's take an example, really easy example. So here's a property and it's worth 500,000.
Mhm.
You come in and say, look, I don't have any cash. I got this under the table job or something where you can't verify income or assets. You can't get a mortgage right now, but you're starting a job in a couple of months. You're going to have a history in a year. Say, look, I'd like to rent this, say, for 18 months, but you want an option to be able to purchase the property at an agreed upon price at a certain period of time. So if your rent is 500 a month, people have this idea that you can just take all the $500 a month payments and apply that to the $500,000 sale price as part of your down payment. And that's how you kind of get these rent to own deals. But it's not. Um, Let me take one step back. If you have the income, but don't have the assets, check with a local mortgage banker or broker. In your state, there may be 100% financing, and you can ask the seller to pay for the closing costs so you don't need any cash. So you might be able to buy now if you have income and good credit.
Mm.
So uh, different, there's some state stuff, bond issues that they have this available. But anyway, in case you can't. So what happens is, so you want to buy this $500,000 property, you're going to make these $500 a month payments. I know these numbers don't make any sense to this, but you think you can apply the $500 a month. You can't. What happens is an appraiser comes when you're ready to buy the property, and the appraiser does an analysis to say, okay, what is the market rent for this property? And let's say the market rent was $400. So the only thing you can apply towards the purchase price is your security deposit and $100 a month.
Oh,
Because you have to pay the fair market value for rent. And this is just like a savings account for everything over that $400.
mm,
So you're giving to the seller in advance. So if you just wanted to rent the property without that, you'd probably rent it for $400.
mhm.
So this is just, you're not getting any interest or anything like that. I mean, if it's a big number, put the money every month in a bank account, and then you have a down payment that you're saving up. The other big problem is you don't know what the value is going to be in 18 months. Nobody does. Could be higher, could be lower. So that's why these rent to own things really never work out. So you're better off renting a place that you want, you're comfortable with, and putting away money and finding out about all these different types of programs that you can do 100% financing with. A lot of people don't realize you can borrow against a 401k to use as a down payment.
Mhm.
You can get gifts up to 100% on FHA and VA with some of these home buyer programs through Fannie and Freddie. You can get more gift. You can even get a second mortgage with 3% and do a 97 first mortgage. And there's so many programs out there. But with a standard Fannie Mae loan, you have to have 5% of the sale price, and then you can get a gift for the rest. Until you get 20% down, you can get the whole 20% as a gift. That's kind of the generics of it. But again, it varies by some of these specialty programs, and that's what you should look into. So lease to own sounds great, and we get a ton of calls. We can't really help people. but that's really the division of what you should do. It's do it mutually exclusive.
How many, I mean, is it very common to have this lease to own, or is it just something some sellers offer?
I don't know. You know,
Yeah. And is that the same
different
as,
sellers have different themes to do it.
is that just another word for seller financing, or is that something?
No. You get a real mortgage. It's not
Okay.
seller financing. Seller financing is you find a, guy who's in his 80s, no mortgage on the property, doesn't need the cash,
Mhm.
going to live with his kids in Florida or something, and he just wants a monthly check. So he could say, look, put X% down and I'll be your mortgage company. Here's the only thing. They have to charge you at least 4.35% interest right now. And that number changes
Mm.
because it's imputed interest. So whether you charge it or not, the IRS is going to assume that you got it and charge you on the interest taxes on it. So yeah, but it will be pretty simple. I mean, you do it's a private mortgage. Like we have our escrow company has simple note and mortgage. It's
Mhm.
all you really need. You don't need to go all the federal disclosures and everything because it's a private lending situation. And it might be you need it for, a year. You're fixing the property up and then you're going to refinance it afterwards.
So they
Many
just pay
different
that one
reasons for
off
that.
and go into a regular conventional
Yeah.
mortgage.
And again, they're not easy to find. It's very rare. Be prepared for a real first mortgage and all that.
I see it more often, like in rural properties, like
Yeah,
like
because
the
there's not
land.
as much demand. That's why.
And then a lot of people buy these like plots of land out in the middle of nowhere, and
Yeah.
they want to sell it, but they don't really. They just
I,
rather.
I saw a woman went to upstate New York and went to this farmer who had, I don't know, 10 acres, let's say. And she sharecropped like an acre from him, paid him like
Mhm.
$50 or something. And then she grew stuff. And then he was going to sell her he ended up selling her the property and taking back the mortgage, just get the monthly payments from her. I mean, you can even do it 100%. I mean, he was just done with it. He didn't want to work on a farm anymore.
Mhm.
And she's just paying him off that way. It's one way to get yourself a farm.
I would say that I do see. I think that's a little more popular in the farms, especially with a lot of
Older
or
farmers,
older farmers retiring, and then the kids
right?
are off in the
Kid,
city doing something.
kids are working at Google. Yeah.
Selling the family farm is not exactly, hiding a real estate. This just makes it easier for someone else to move in, and then they get the income stream.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, as far as this may be a tax question, so you're doing seller financing, um, and someone buys the house through the seller for $1 million. Is that $1 million taxable event right then, or is it?
Oh, it's a capital gain. Yeah.
So they have to pay the capital
But
gains on it, and then they have
But if
to.
you're married and you have the $500,000 exclusion and you're not really paying anything, it's fine. So the bottom line for sellers, if you're going to do this, go to your accountant before you do it,
Mhm.
before you sign a contract, please. So you got to prepare because you might get away with not paying federal, but you might have state
Mhm.
capital gains. So each state is different. So
Yeah.
do your planning.
Figure out what's in best interest for you.
Yes, exactly.
Let's see. Have we reached the end of the episode already?
Well, I just wanted to say goodbye to a Californian.
Oh,
And I'm very happy that he's leaving California. Goodbye, Trevor Zegras.
oh,
The Anaheim Ducks gave him away to the Flyers today. It was just like, I read it. I had to read it twice. He gave them that guy a second and a fourth. Really? Anyway, hockey nerds will know what I'm talking about. But Trevor Zegras, one less person in California.
and now he's on the Flyers,
He's on the Flyers. Yes.
and that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yes. Of
Well,
course it is.
let's end on a positive note like that.
There you go.
Not one bit of politics. Look at that. We fixed real estate. That's the end.
Perfect.